Ladies and gentlemen, would you, in your wildest imagination, think that in these postmodern times, an European power threatened to bomb the Levites? I am talking about the Levites of the Bible. I do not think that anybody on this channel would have thought that that was possible, because outside what we know as the Hebrew Bible, we did not study or see the Levites of the Bible, the likes of Moses, Aaron, Korah, Samuel, Eli, the priest and his sons, Hophni and Phinehas. But interestingly, people like us wined and ate with them. And what you are going to hear now is the most fascinating story of the 5th month of 2024. Ladies and gentlemen, you are all familiar with the Igbo people. You identify them with the modern country called Nigeria. That is where Deuteronomy 28 placed them. Before Nigeria, they had organized themselves into a federation of Hebrew republics. Some of these republics were Levitical settlements. I will mention the 5 that I would regard. I wouldn't say they are the most important, but they are the most visible. Agukunri, Enugu Ukwu, Enugu Agede, Nofia, Oreri. Among the other 800 or so Igbo republics, you would find families of Levites scattered inside this other 800 other republics. But the 5 I mentioned are essentially settlements of Levites. But in the other 800 communities or republics or clans, there are families of Levites like mine that ended up becoming judges, Obi. If I'm a megalomaniac, I will be going about calling myself prince, because my family has been Obi for centuries. Not 1 century, not 2 centuries, not 3 centuries, but more. So you know what happened? After the Berlin Conference, when the European powers began to seize and acquire different African peoples and their lands, Deuteronomy 28 led the Igbos and the British to run into each other. The British had all the firearms in the world. The Igbos had almost nothing, because they were not a warlike people. If they were a warlike people, they would have come up with almost everything the British would have come up with, or almost everything the British came up with. It's a subject for another day, but science and technology are not strange to the Igbos. They can cope with them. You know that During the genocidal war waged against them, they made rockets, they refined fuels. So, if their culture had called for violence, they would have come up with the Maxim gun, the Gatling guns of the British, but they had almost nothing. So, the British government carried the day by force of arms, but the British government discovered that the resistance was not dying. And the British government, like ancient Rome and ancient Israel, the British government understood that without breaking down, or thought that without breaking the religion of the people, that these people would never ever be pacified. So what did they do? They moved to four of the republics I mentioned: Nri, Enugu Ukwu, Enugu Agede, Nofia. They did some investigation and discovered that the high priest of the Igbo people resided at the place called Nri. So they threatened him. They told him, gentleman, if you don't stop preaching the religion of your people, we are going to bomb your community. This is in history. This is recorded in history. I'm not saying that most Igbos are familiar with it. People have come to me and said, we talked to that Igbo, we talked to this Igbo, we went to Wikipedia, we went to Google. You are not going to find anything useful there. If you want to study about the Igbos, talk to me, talk to any member of Omenala Defenders, and you'll be pointed to the right sources. What I just illustrated, what I just related, are recorded. But 99% of the present day Igbos don't think that these things are important. Meanwhile, Igbos are where they are today because they stopped seeing things like this as important. So the British told Ezenri is the high priest of the Igbos. Each of the 800 other communities had chief priests, but the high priest was the Ezenri. They told him that if you don't stop preaching your religion, because like Aaron, he was the person entrusted with interpreting the laws of Omenana, proclaiming the infractions that had become taboo, or the infractions that were taboo, like the Igbos did not eat certain animals, meat of certain animals. If some reckless Igbos had tried to bring in such animals, the agents of these Levitical communities scattered all over the 800 communities will tell the Ezenri, and the Ezenri would say, no, our God, Chukwu, and our ancestors said that this is not us. So they said, this has to stop, or we will bomb your domain. The man went home. The curious question is, Nri did not have a single soldier. Nri did not have a single policeman. Nri was completely without weapons of any sort. But they were threatened with bombardment. Why? The answer is there before you. The British knew that the power of the Igbos was in their religion. They fought the Kanu Empire, the Kanu Emirates. They fought the Yoruba kingdoms. They fought the Benin kingdom. But these were empires and kingdoms like themselves, like the British Empire itself. They had soldiers, they had battalions, they had armed security. The Igbos had none. Principally the community that was threatened, it was taboo for weapons of war to be used at Nri. It was at Nri that first the Igbos converted Ube to aloe. Ube is the spear, aloe is the instrument of peace. Nri did not have any weapon of war, but it was threatened with bombardment. To bring this story to a close, the headquarters of these 5 primary Levitical communities of the Igbos was threatened with bombardment if the high priest resident in Nri did not stop preaching Omenana. These are in books. I repeat what I said, these are in books. One of the most ridiculous things people have believed in is that people who live exactly the way the Israelites we see in the Torah live, use the same idioms they used. Some of the words of these people are still identical to the words of those Israelites, that those people are not Israelites because they are Africans, because they found themselves in Africa. Saying that the Igbo person is not an Israelite is like saying that King David was not an Israelite. No more, no less. Thank you. Subscribe, promote this channel. This channel is going into deep Israelite history, which is important to world history. Thank you.